Bonded lingual retainers are commonly used in orthodontics as a permanent form of retention. The importance of a passive, low-profile, and precisely adapted wire work is necessary. Wire stress or tension from commonly used rigid, round, braided wires can result in bond failure and undesired tooth movement. Also, these wires can be more difficult to adapt to the patient's dentition. Permanent retention is greatly enhanced as well as ease of fabrication using a flattened, dead soft wire. Intra-arch splinting with a thin ribbon arch prevents torque control problems that can occur using a round braided wire. When bonding to the lingual of the upper incisors, a very thin rectangular wire can be adapted with little lower incisor interference. Available at Great Lakes Orthodontics is Bond-A-Braid and Retanium, developed by Reliance Orthodontics. These rectangular dead soft wires are easy to adapt and prevents inadvertent tooth movement associated with active force wires. Bond-A-Braid is an economical, flattened, dead soft 8-stranded wire. It is excellent for semi-permanent orthodontic splinting of upper or lower incisors. Also, it can be used to hold diastemas closed, maintain difficult extraction sites, and excellent for splinting periodontally compromised teeth. Each tube contains 10 6-inch wire lengths. Retanium is a single-strand, nickel-free, flat metal ribbon possessing increased interproximal strength compared to Bond-A-Braid. This easy-to-adapt wire design eliminates potential patient allergy concerns while possessing all the same advantages as Bond-A-Braid. Each tube contains 10 6-inch wire lengths. The fabrication and delivery of the bonded lingual retainer may be accomplished using the direct or indirect methods. Using either method, the wire will need to be adapted to the lingual tooth surfaces of the splinting teeth. A well-defined model poured from an accurate impression is needed to fabricate the bonded lingual retainer using the indirect delivery method. A snap impression model is recommended for the direct delivery method to ensure proper wire length and adaptation. The wire bending instruments that are recommended are number 2 pencil or wax marking pencil, 3-prong pliers, serrated 134 pliers, and laboratory wire cutters. Also, a Great Lakes model holder is a handy tool when surveying model during wire bending process. Select Bond-A-Braid or Retanium lingual retainer wire. Form a general arc of wire along the anterior teeth. Mark wire at distal opposite side cuspid or identified teeth to be splinted and mark at distal ends. Cut wire at mark with lap cutters. Position wire end to distal third of terminal tooth in retainer. Mark interproximally to start scalloping wire to teeth using the serrated 134 and 3-prong pliers. Along lower anteriors, the wire work is adapted to the middle height of the crowns. The upper wire is adapted along the cervical crown heights to prevent bite interference from lower dentition. Continue to mark wire at center crown contact and interdental areas to conform wire to crown contours and dental alignment. Rectangular wire may need to be twisted slightly to contour flush to crown surface. Repeat these bends along wire to opposite end. Scallop form of wire along anterior dentition is complete. Make sure distal ends are terminated at middle area of last tooth to be bonded in retainer. Once the wire is adapted to the model, the transfer tray is created when using the indirect transfer method. Prior to tray fabrication, the model is conditioned using Great Lakes separator and brush. Apply a thin layer of separator to the model using the brush. Allow separator to dry 5 minutes. With a small amount of Mortite caulk cord, hold wire in place at dental midline area. Make sure Mortite does not form where pads will be placed. Floatane is used to create bondable pads around wire to each tooth. Through the syringe, dispense floatane around wire against teeth. Create only 2 tooth pads. Cure in Pro-Cure oven for approximately 2 minutes. Then carefully remove Mortite and create remainder of pads with floatane. Cure once again in light oven. The transfer tray is made using the BioStar or MiniStar machine. Reduce pressure to 2 bar or 30 psi for this application. Lower pressure allows tray to release lingual retainer once bonded to the patient's dentition. After this application, return machine's pressure to original setting. To start process, turn machine power on. Identify pressure and adjust pressure regulator on back of machine turning counterclockwise to decrease pressure to 2 bar or 30 psi. Adjust pressure below desired level, then increase turning regulator knob clockwise. Two mm mouthguard material is recommended for this application. Secure material onto chamber with clamping ring. Place model onto platform with heel facing open chamber. Offset model slightly to left on platform for best thermoforming result. Enter 60 seconds heating time into the machine and swing lamp over clamp material to start process. Once heating cycle is complete, remove lamp and rotate chamber over model on platform. Lock chamber in place with handle on right side of machine to start thermoforming cycle. Let cool for about 2 minutes. At the end of the thermoforming cycle, release pressure from chamber. Then unlock chamber and clamped material. Swing open chamber and remove formed device with model. Form material is cut to tray shape using a torch and lab knife. Heat lab knife with torch to cut tray along gingival margins and to distal of first or second bicuspids. Create a secondary cut to outer border of material to help peel plastic from model. Soak model with cut tray in cool tap water for 20 minutes. This will help release tray and lingual retainer wire from model. Carefully remove formed tray from model. To ensure proper release of bonded lingual retainer from tray once bonded to the patient's dentition, a hot lab knife or scalpel can be used to cut tray along wire between pads. Also, the tray can be further cut to desired shape with hot lab knife. Make sure not to trim tray with scissors. Scissors could bend and flex tray, causing lingual retainer to dislodge from tray. Do not flex tray. Smooth the cut edges using a satin buff or coarse dymo wheel in a lab handpiece. Then place tray into soapy solution and ultrasonic for about 5 to 10 minutes to clean. The Great Lakes NOLA dry field system is recommended to isolate bonding area. Whether bonding using the direct or indirect method, the teeth are prepared the same. Prophy, then sandblast or roughen enamel, rinse and dry. Acid etch enamel for 30 seconds. Rinse and dry thoroughly. Apply 1 coat of Assure universal bonding resin to each prep tooth and lightly dry with air. For the indirect method, also apply Assure to pads within the tray, along with enamel surfaces to be bonded, and lightly air dry. For the direct process, place loops of dental floss interproximally. Insert adapted wire into dental floss loops and gently pull floss to hold wire against teeth. Do not overpull floss, distorting wire. Using Floatain, extrude a small amount of paste over the wire on each tooth. Use enough paste to cover wire and bond to enamel. Then, with a small pledget, dip pledget into Assure and spread paste to smooth finish in gingival to incisal motion. Lightly air dry. For the indirect method, extrude a small amount of Floatain over the composite pads and tray. Seat tray over anterior dentition, making sure not to contact lingual tooth surfaces until tray is fully seated. Light cure Floatain pads for direct or indirect method using blue phase curing light. For the direct method, light cure paste on each tooth for 20 seconds. Then remove dental floss. Add Floatain as needed to cover thin areas. Remove occlusal interferences with burr. For the indirect method, light cure paste in tray over patient's dentition from incisal edge over each tooth for 10 to 15 seconds. Carefully remove tray and light cure for an additional 10 to 15 seconds for complete set. Add Floatain to thin areas as needed. Remove occlusal interferences with a burr.